Morning, y'all. Today, I'm going to try visiting not one, but two abandoned train stations with public transit. It's going to take quite a bit of transfers, so first order of business is to get the next 10 bus to Jersey City. I gotta go to Harrison, which means I gotta get the PATH train just one stop, and then grab another bus to Kearney, and that's where our first stop is, and it's called Arlington, and it hasn't seen a train since 2002. Thanks a lot. Alright, I am at Journal Square Transit Center. Bus driver was amazing. We were 2 minutes late upon our arrival, but we managed to get to Journal Square 5 minutes early. It was still a relatively busy route. There was barely any traffic on the Sunday. The next step is to take PATH to Harrison, which is, well, the next stop. I might either have to wait 20 minutes or an hour for this next bus. So, this might be my train. Either that or it's terminating and it's going to go on another track. But either way, I hope this train does. Yeah, you know what? Let's get on it. Alright, I have made it to Harrison, bang on time. In fact, I think we were a little bit early. And that sucks because now I have to wait 40 minutes for my bus. And since almost every train line on New Jersey Transit is hourly, I likely won't see anything remotely interesting while I wait. But I guess it's fine because I'm not really here to foam. Hopefully these next 40 minutes go by in a flash. There goes Amtrak 43, the westbound Pennsylvanian, and I think this one upcoming here is an eastbound regional. Not too sure. No, that was either the eastbound Crescent or the Silver Meteor. I genuinely have no clue. So I have 4 more minutes to get to the bus stop, and the next bus I'll be catching today is called the 40, which runs from North Arlington to the IKEA in Elizabeth, and it's probably the most confusing and twistiest bus route for no apparent reason. I may do another video covering it someday, just because it's so weird, but like, I'm only riding it for like 10 minutes, so it's my final mode of transport for now. And it's the one that'll get me to the first abandoned station. So, hey, look, foamers! It's a heritage unit. That's kind of neat. There's our bus. Oh hell yeah! We got the extremely padded seats. These are my favorite seats on any anti-transit bus. But too bad we're only going to be on this for like 10-15 minutes. But that's whatever. Thanks so much. So, that was a lovely ride. Way better than I would have expected for a 10-minute bus ride. But anyway, we are officially here. Welcome to Arlington Station. I'm going to show it on camera in about a few seconds. The bus drops us off like less than a block away, so like if you ever plan on visiting this station, either go to Newark or take the 40 or the 30, both work. But yeah, welcome to Arlington Station. Arlington Station was built in the 1850s and is situated on the former Boonton line that went all the way to Hackettstown. But this part all the way up to the Montclair connection, all the tracks were ripped and all the stations were shut down. There used to be 4 of them. It was Arlington, West Arlington, Rowe Street, and Benson Street, I believe, in that order. The last train here was way back in 2002 when the line was to be closed. And as you can see, the platforms and the right-of-way are still standing. Now imagine if this was turned into a current-day branch line. I feel like that would work, but we'd have to basically rebuild the entire right-of-way past the bridge. I feel like at the same time it wouldn't, because this as a rail trail will low-key be pretty awesome. Train crossing used to exist right here. Well, actually, two of them, and there used to be, I think, 1 or 2 tracks. Judging by the 2 platforms, I think there used to be 2 tracks. They had a weird design. I think it was 1 platform for each track, so I think 1 track was here and 1 track was right there. I don't think I've ever seen something like that before. It was quite unique. And you could tell because look at where the yellow line is situated. And the depot has now been turned into a park, like a tiny park that has like benches and trash cans and stuff. I think it was open for almost 170 years. If I can remember correctly, it was first built in 1853 as Arlington, and then it closed in 2002. But that's not to say that Arlington actually was a pretty accident-prone station, because one of the most major incidents that happened were, I think, in like 1965 or 1950s. I gotta look up the year. Two high school children were going home from school, and they tragically got hit by a 2-car commuter train right at this intersection. They didn't see a train, even though the gates were down. But yeah, here is Arlington Station, closed for 23 years, and extremely unlikely it'll ever return to service, let alone get anything done with, because look at the state it's in. It's in terrible shape. The platforms are at least still there, so we can remind ourselves of what used to exist. That's really about it. For some reason, it feels kind of surreal walking on an abandoned train station, knowing that no trains are ever going to come here again. And it's pretty obvious that this, like, gray splotch of land used to be the former depot, and that depot in question was demolished some time ago and turned into a small park, as I said earlier. And it's got like benches and trash cans and stuff. I'm gonna explore the park in a second, but like, just this feels so weird. I'm so used to like seeing these old train stations on, like, say the main line, where they're actually deteriorating and getting nothing done with. A train last came here in 2002. I was born 5 years after the line closed. That's crazy. Just look at this. This here was the site of a former crossing, and a rusted signal used to exist here, but unfortunately it got torn down in 2023 or 2024, no idea when. But as I said a few times already, you could still stand here and see the visible right-of-way, even though the tracks are completely ripped up. You could see where the tracks used to be and where they led towards. This and the old Boonton line, I think it was double tracked here. I think it went from a switch near Newark via Kearney and Bloomfield to get to Montclair, and that's when it used its own line to get to Hackettstown, while the Montclair branch only terminated at Bay Street. And when the Montclair connection got built, this line was closed, and the stations were completely left behind. And I say stations, plural, because there's one other spot on this line that I still have to show you, but it'll take me over an hour to get there, but hell, it's worth it. Before we head out, I said I was gonna review the park, even though there's really not much. There's a lot of greens everywhere, as you might expect. It's very small, but the depot is right over there, and well, used to be right over there, because as I said before, it got demolished and was turned into this small park. And conveniently enough, it's called Arlington Depot Park. Ain't that something? The park acknowledges the station's old existence. Now, one more thing before we go. I'm just gonna say that getting to this next spot isn't gonna be that hard, but it's gonna be a little bit confusing. First, I gotta take another 40 back into like downtown Newark. Then I gotta take the Newark Light Rail, or the Newark City Subway, whatever you want to call it, over to Branchbrook Park. Then I gotta get on the 92 Crosstown to get to the next location. But before we go, since I have about 5 minutes, let's just like take this in. No train is ever gonna pass here again and there hasn't been a train for 23 years. And there goes the depot park. I managed to get on the exact same bus I took over here. The same number, the same driver, same everything. Anyway, back to downtown Newark. Newark Penn Station. So I'm here at Brentwood Park, and now the final order of business is to take a crosstown bus called the 92 for about 10 minutes, maybe less than that, to our next location, which is called Rowe Street. And that's a station that I mentioned previously, and it's probably the last one that has something left. So anyway, let's get on the bus. As I was filming that last clip, a 92 actually just departed. And since they run every 2 hours, I'm not going to want to wait for another one right here. So I'm going to grab either a 90 or a 74. And I'm pretty sure a 74 gets here in like 2 minutes. I'm only going to ride on it for like 5 stops. Then I'm going to walk for 25 minutes to get to our next location. Let's just hope this works well. Here's my ride. Not sure where. Oh, it's going to another bay. Almost every bus I took today had the extremely comfy seats, including this one, but there's something off about that one. Apparently I saw a sign that says no Franklin Avenue on the bus, and that's the street I need to get off at. We actually do go on Franklin Avenue. I'm not sure yet. Thank you. Oh brother, I'm not making that light. Whoa, what on earth is that cool building? It looks so Art Deco. Hey, Newark foamers. Hey, what kind of building is that? Or what even is it? Is it like some historical landmark or something? I have no clue. But it looks incredible. Seems everybody in this part of Newark is festive as hell. I love these decorations. Shout out to whoever lives here. Those are amazing decorations. Anyway, I still got about 15 minutes to go. I roughly parallel the 92 bus to South Orange, which I could have made if I sprinted across the platform, but unfortunately it left as soon as I got off the train, and it runs every 2 hours, so yeah, I'm not waiting on no bus. I'd rather just walk through this peaceful ass neighborhood for like 25 minutes instead. It's cheaper and it's good exercise, I guess. Sir, I don't know where Jack Skellington is. You might want to ask Sally or something. Ladies and gentlemen, we have finally made it. Welcome to Rowe Street. This station also closed in 2002, and the tracks were completely ripped up. There used to be a crossing here with a rare teardrop bell that sounded like it was dying all the time. But yeah, this is Rowe Street Station. Closed in 2002, opened in the 1850s, similar to Arlington. It was originally called Orchard Street because, you know, it was located on Orchard Street. But I think the actual, like, Rowe Street is somewhere down there. I don't know why they renamed it, but maybe it's because of close proximity to the actual Rowe Street. But yeah, here it is. Now, what's notable with Rowe Street is that its platforms are in much better condition, and there's a fence that still stands. There's a no trespassing sign that I haven't paid attention to. Hopefully I don't get caught. As far as I know, there seems to be no remnants of a right-of-way, unlike Arlington, which still had a few ties left. It still, creeps me out that no trains are gonna come here ever again. And there hasn't been a train in 23 years. Same with Benson Street and West Arlington, which is up that way. I think West Arlington is that way. I'm not sure. I have to relook at the order. But yes, this is Rowe Street. This station closed 23 years ago. The last train came here at around 5 p.m.-ish. This was also a double-track station with only one crossing rather than two, unlike Arlington. I'm not a crossing foamer, but I do know that it had a rare teardrop bell, and I know those are mostly a rarity by now. There's only a handful left across the United States, but I'm not sure. The crossing foamers can correct me on that. But yeah, no trains have come here for 23 years. It's saddening, really. This would so work as a branch line, or maybe a rail trail, because the right-of-way still looks to be relatively still intact in both directions, and I don't know what's gonna happen here. And I figured this would have been probably a ticket house, maybe. I have no idea. So apparently I was wrong about the history of Rowe Street. So it opened originally in the 1890s as Orchard Street, but then I think, depending on the sources, some sources say that the original station called Orchard Street actually burned down due to arson in 1950. In the early 1950s, something like that, and it took them a few years to rebuild this as Rowe Street, and Rowe Street as a station opened in 1955, and it looked like this for basically 50 years until it was closed in 2002. So it's relatively newer than Arlington, I'd say, but it's still crazy. It still boggles my mind how no trains will ever come here again. Apologies if I look like a mess. So I just came to realize that Rowe Street is situated in a much quieter and more quaint part of Bloomfield, and it makes me just want to sit here and just think. It's a very, very, very peaceful and quiet location, and for anybody who's looking to step away from reality, you could come here, because this is a very, very, very safe space. It's just it's so beautiful out here. It makes me want to come back just for the fun of it. This is Rowe Street. This is possibly the only standing remnant of a former crossing gate here at Rowe Street. Wow, man. Anyway, since my phone is about to die, I'm gonna go charge it at a cafe that's about a 5-minute walk from here, and I'm also gonna use the time to have lunch. And then after that, since there is a very, very, very special train running, well, it might not be as interesting as you might think, but there's a really interesting part about it. The train is currently on its way to New York, and we're gonna go back to Newark Penn Station so I could show you what it is. And it's been on the rail since yesterday, so I'm really excited about it. Wow, this looks absolutely incredible. Since I still have a little bit of time on my hands, I'm gonna go explore Bloomfield for a little longer. That cafe back there, it was a pizzeria, but I got empanadas there. I'm sure there are gonna be people questioning me in the comments, why didn't you try the pizza? Well, to be honest, I haven't had empanadas in a really long time. Since I know a couple of pizzerias in my area serve empanadas, I wanted to change up the pace a little bit. So I bought 2 empanadas for $13. I tipped 10%, so it made it 14. All I have to say is, wow, they were, for one, massive, and they came in 10 minutes, maybe. They were utterly phenomenal. I don't, call me a fat ass, but The service there was incredible, and the empanadas, they tasted immaculate. If you guys want to check out that store, it's called Pizzanadas. I'll put the plug somewhere on screen, and if you wish to call them, they do delivery. Wow, that's really all I have to say. And it was very, very empty. Everybody, I was like maybe one person out of 3 others in the whole thing. And the staff were amazing. So major props to Pizzanadas of Bloomfield. You guys are incredible. You make incredible food. Can't wait to go back there again. As I said, I still have a bit of time on my hands, so I'm going to go explore Bloomfield for a little longer before I have to walk to Bloomfield Avenue to get the 11 bus back down to Penn Station. The train's supposed to get to Newark around 4:30, and right now it's barely 3 o'clock, so I have a lot of time. So after walking for about 20 minutes, I did find the bus stop, and it's apparently a stop for the supposed bus rapid transit line called the Go 28 or something. And I actually did some research. Apparently the Go 28 is a 23-hour bus line that serves Newark Liberty Airport, and it goes all the way to Bloomfield. So it runs around this area. So I'm hoping to find it in its livery. I wonder what its livery looks like. I don't think I've ever seen a Go bus. But yeah, the 11 is currently 10 minutes late, and now its scheduled arrival isn't for another 25 to 30 minutes. So I thought I'd just chill here for a while, and this area is called Watson Park, and it looks relatively chill. I mean, the foliage looks very pretty at this time of year. So I thought I'd just chill, like relax. I've been walking for quite a bit. Here comes a Go 28. I thought it would have the livery, but I guess some don't. Oh well. The distance there is my 11. It's currently 15 minutes late, but that's alright. I forgot to film myself saying thank you to the bus driver, but we arrived at Newark 18 minutes late. The Amtrak train, however, is 8 minutes late. It's bound for New York. It's going to be boarding on track 2. It arrives in 11 minutes. I was strongly thinking I wasn't going to make the train, but yeah, I somehow did. We were moving on average like maybe 7 miles an hour the entire way, but that's all right. We at least made the train. All right, so I made it to North Penn Station, track 1, which is where train number 42, which is eastbound Pennsylvania, is going to arrive as it drops off people and goes towards New York. There's something special on either the front or rear of this train. Today is its final run of the year, and thank God I managed to have some time to catch it, because I don't think I've ever seen this on a train on video before, at least. So yeah, Amtrak number 42 is supposed to arrive in around 5 to 10 minutes, so you know what, I'll just cut to the train. There it is, Amtrak 42, the eastbound Pennsylvanian with a private car. Well, here it is, gentlemen. This is a 1949 built original Pullman private car in colonial crafts. Holy moly, this thing is 76 years old. Wow, man. And fun fact about this private car, this is the last time it's going to run for the entire year. So if you were looking to catch this specific one, sorry. The announcement was made a couple days ago before this train ran that this was going to be their last trip. So yeah. Anyway, since number 42 is discharge only at the stop, it's not accepting any passengers. So the stop's going to be a lot quicker, and it's gonna run to New York in like 15 minutes. There's a fellow foamer. so that was basically the whole video. Turns out it's possible to see 2 abandoned stations on the same day with public transit without driving, and still managing to snag something special at the very end. That's basically the video. Goodbye.